6 weeks went by. I did 50 grand. I'm just at 10 months, which is crazy to think of because I'll probably hit the million. 20 come in over the weekend and maybe half of them self-book. I don't know what I would do without NextLevel.
So one of the things I wanted to kind of start out talking about was just like a little bit of your background. Like how did you get into health insurance? Where are you at now? I know you're with USABG, but you can talk kind of about your transition into health insurance and your background and like what brought you into the insurance world, I guess.
Yeah, so, well, originally I'm between Colorado and Texas, as you probably already know that, but mainly Colorado, quote unquote. I was doing a window gig out of college, so it was all in person, high intensity sales, right? High pressure, which doesn't really translate to insurance, maybe more on the life insurance side, which is where I started, right? So I was at another IMO to start. I realized how much there was potential behind, wealth growth or personal growth, just from some buddies that were doing on the life insurance side. But the life insurance side's very, it's you talk about death, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I was driving for like 8 months from Denver all the way up to Greeley, Fort Collins area. And I just finally was like, I've had enough. You're not always necessarily going into the best situation for people's households. And it kind of breaks your heart being in that position. So,
Mm,
I realized when COVID hit, I was like, why am I not doing this fully remote? I can do everything that I'm working on in person. And I was using, let's see, we used Phone Burner at first just to book appointments. Then I was on Ringy. Ringy was pretty good, like their auto dialing system and matching numbers, but the consistency with keeping up with clients and the automation's not great,
mm,
right? And then Brian Holden, who I work with still, we were over at Benzie first, and then we recently made the switch over to USAGB just because it's a more rounded, not mom and pop shop. It's more of your heavy hitter, FMO, field marketing
hmm
operation. But what really made me switch over to health insurance is just seeing the growth that Brian was doing because I was working with him at my last company or last
hmm
brokerage.
Yeah.
Um, I teetered with the idea of doing health insurance for 6 months before I was finally just couldn't do life insurance anymore. I started hating it, um, which
Yeah.
is typically what happens with people in life insurance. They get burned out. And I finally said, you know what? Let me just go get the test. Let's see how it goes. First 6 weeks was a little bit slow. I started out on NextLevel. What was that? February? Yeah, February is when I first got signed up with you.
Okay.
And then it kind of just took off from there. I mean, people are looking for health insurance, right? Life insurance is more of a commodity, in my opinion.
hmm
Um, Health insurance is a necessary need. Otherwise, people will go bankrupt if there's bills that pile up.
Yeah.
And so, just within 6 weeks of running from Benzie leads to transitioning, mostly running Benzie leads, getting thrown into automations and letting the system work it out and keeping your activity up high. I mean, 6 weeks went by. I did 50 grand in volume AP, which translated to probably about, I don't know, $5,000 or so.
Yeah.
Then it just took off. And since April, I haven't done under $100,000 in volume. So
Since
pretty
April.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm at 700,000 on the year, which I've only worked truly. I started like February 17th. So I'm just at 10 months, which is crazy to think of because I'll probably hit the million by
But
my yearly mark. So
by the end of this year, you think, or you're saying by your anniversary, like
I'll
February?
hit it. I'll hit it by this year, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's pretty sweet,
um,
right?
but yeah, it's just kind of the timeline of it. I mean, uh, I like to consider myself a pretty outgoing person, so it just immediately kind of clicked. Luckily, I've been around insurance my entire life, So my mom was a senior VP at Chubb Insurance, which is they got acquired by Ace, the largest insurance deal or acquisition ever, like
Mm.
$26 billion.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was there for coincidentally enough 26 years. So I mean, I just watched on the corporate side how there's a decent amount of money to be made on the corporate side, but and
Yeah.
then I went and worked for Denver agency for a summer, and they're all personal lines PNC, and I was like, holy cow, these guys are crushing it. They not only that, but they have long-term relationships with their clients. Like I would go to
Mm.
lunch with their clients and the agents at the agency, and just to learn about the business and talk about what they needed insured with their clients, whether it's a $3 million ring or if it's a $10 million house, right? And I noticed
Mm.
on the health insurance side that there's a huge need for people with marketplace plans that want private insurance that are self-employed.
Mhm.
And when you go over to USAGB, I mean, sky's pretty much the limit. You got every carrier you could think of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, on the private a little bit of everything, right? You can do private if people need ACA, you can write that too. It's just you're kind of meeting the client where they're at and helping them with whatever, right?
yeah, I mean, I've done 4 AC. I just started doing ACA stuff. Obviously, we're outside of open enrollment. Open enrollment just started November 1st. So in the last, 10 days, I've done 4 policies just for clients that can't get private insurance or there's an income restraint.
Yeah.
So I mean, the other big thing too is, to be well rounded, you have to have every tool available, and being ACA licensed and also Medicare licensed is a huge need. I mean, what are you going to do when
Right.
your client turns 65? I
Right.
mean,
And
that's
all
the
of them will, right? All of them will.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, having contingencies for all that stuff is super important. You can retain them forever. Yeah. And then, we'll talk about leads here in a minute too, but you sometimes get like the leads that you're running, the ads that you're running through your own Facebook, they're focused on indemnity clients. They're focused on a little above average health, above average income. But if you get somebody that's, poor health or low income and needs ACA, well, then you can write that. Or you get a lead, every once in a while, you might get a lead that's over 65. And it's like, well, should you have a Medicare conversation? Like you're expanding and you're able to help them, help pretty much anybody at this point.
yeah, because then it's a client for life. I mean, look, health insurance is a very complained about industry just because of price and obviously what's going on in a lot of hospital situations with billing. So I mean, you're going to have unhappy clients that you put on some plans where you can't. I mean, my biggest thing is like trying not to control the things that are out of my control. Trying to change the situation for the client instead, right? I mean, it's open enrollment, so I have clients right now that I'm changing out plans that aren't
Hmm.
happy with certain. But if the client trusts you and you make a good relationship with them, they're never going to switch. They're going to
Yeah.
stay with you from day one until hopefully until the rest of their life if you have a Medicare license. So you're constantly going to have a revolving stream of income for
Yeah.
yourself as well.
Yeah. I think too, before we started recording, you were talking about how some of your automations in Next Level will reach out to those. And you said you had a bunch of people reach out recently. Well, I guess it would have been yesterday, was Veterans Day, and your system texts them Happy Veterans Day, and you get a lot of responses. And then they're thankful for that, but it puts your name back into their mind so that, oh yeah, I have this agent. If they have any issues with their insurance, they can reach out to you versus it's open enrollment. I saw this ad. It's like, oh yeah, Mason, I can, if I'm curious or I need to make a change or anything, I can reach out to him.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. Um, I everything that I think the biggest key to your business for keeping up with clients at a high volume is it's either you have money or you have time, right?
Yeah.
With a CRM that you're spending 150, $160 a month, I mean, you got everything resource wise that you need. I mean, I don't need an assistant. It does everything for me. I
Yeah.
mean, leads
Yeah.
come in over the weekend. I think I had like maybe 20 come in over the weekend and maybe half of them self booked.
Oh, yeah.
at least 9 of
Yeah.
them. So,
And they're
I mean,
self-booking because you're running our ad manager program, right? So they're booking, you're running
exactly.
your ads, they go to your calendar link and they book, yeah,
Yeah,
with you there. So,
which
yep.
is extremely helpful. I mean, I don't know what I would do without Next Level. Use a cell phone. I've done that. I
Yeah.
mean, calling
Yeah.
100 leads on a piece of paper that your upline hands you, and it says, "Hey, go ahead and book all these appointments." I guarantee you, if you book 10 appointments in a day that you drive out to, at least 7 aren't going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just no way. There's not a single successful business on earth that doesn't use technology and systems and automations. If you just want to be like just you as your agent and you're content writing a certain amount, but the second you start to have aspirations to scale and to accomplish more things, you're going to realize that you have to have a system. There's not a company on earth that doesn't have a CRM or some sort of process and systems in
Yeah,
place to scale. I use it for my own business all day long. I would never be able to service the amount of customers that we have and grow things and manage the ad manager program and all this without all these different tools and technology. So, yeah,
agreed.
obviously I'm biased, but I'm a huge proponent of just technology in general. AI too, super powerful
I
um,
mean,
for all kinds of
yeah.
things.
I mean, that's what's kind of happening across the US, right? This is kind of off topic, but I mean, you have an older employee that's not willing to learn the new standards of technology. They're letting employees go. You have to
Hmm.
be up to date with the times of technology, or you're
Yeah,
going to fall behind.
yeah. Well, one of the things I love about High Level, which is, the software behind Next Level, is they're just always innovating and they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on with technology. So if there's something that's useful, they're going to put it in on the platform and then then I'll kind of customize it and help it to be accessible and easy for agents to use that are on the platform. But I was at their conference a couple weeks ago and they're just constantly staying ahead of the game. And if there's something that's not helpful, like one example would be outbound AI. Outbound AI calling, which we looked at maybe about this time last year, looked really promising, but it just wasn't there yet, like the technology. So they're like, we're not going to invest in this because, if you have like $2 leads, maybe let outbound AI call them, but you don't want to be throwing anything expensive at it because the technology is just not good enough. Like you'll be biting your nails listening to those AI recordings, which we ran a ton of them, probably had about 100 of those calls. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nice to, yeah,
I
kind
mean,
of be in the
especially,
know and use whatever you can to grow your business.
yeah. And I think, like, especially in the insurance side, people want an expert and a human to talk to, right? I mean, that's a big thing. Some people are lonely out there. They want a
Hmm.
friend. So,
Yeah.
um, not having that human connection. I mean, I don't know where the industry will be in 10 years, but not having a human connection to an agent that's actually an expert, it's a huge no-no for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
And to me, I think that is super invaluable, that human component. I think where technology comes in is it doesn't take away human component. It just allows you to speak to more people in a more organized way. And some of the AI features are becoming like we're able to customize it and make it so personalized that you still have a little bit of that personalization that people are looking for versus kind of more of just robotic communication. So to me, it's like AI is becoming that's the goal. As like even just recently, I have OpenAI app ChatGPT on my phone, and I started playing around
uh,
with their voice feature. But you can sit there and chat with it, and I mean, it's talking like I am, ums and pauses, and sometimes repeats a word. Like it's super lifelike, and I think that's where it's
yeah,
heading, so that it'll really be indistinguishable from a normal human interaction, which is fine. You just want it to be lifelike, you know.
yeah,
But
exactly. I mean, while we're sitting here, funny enough, automation just ran for a client I sold 2 weeks ago. And it just was the referral gift text message. And she just said, please give me a call. My grandson needs insurance. So
nice,
I didn't do anything.
yeah.
Hands off.
What's that text say? It talks
It
about your
said,
referral rewards program.
hi, Andrea. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to mention my referral program. I would love to send you a gift cards or cash for anyone you send that I can help with health insurance or life insurance. Start here, pick a gift. And then she just texted me and I just said, oh, Andrea, can I call you tomorrow?
That's awesome. And your system did it for you, right? So see,
Yep.
I was thinking about this the other day, not to sit here and like promote Next Level too much, but The next level, really, most users are paying max 147 a month. And
Mhm.
if you sell like average premium for health insurance anyway, I know there's users on the platform that are doing ACA, they're doing life insurance, but for like what you're doing, average AP is usually about 5K, I think somewhere around
Mhm.
there. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, around 5,000. I mean, I do a lot. I do indemnity here and there.
I'm used
Major,
to saying
yeah.
indemnity. I know you're mostly focused on America's Choice, right? Which technically is considered like minimal essential coverage by ACA guidelines.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and the
So
and the commissions are different, but essentially, I mean, you sell one. If Next Level helps you sell one policy in an entire year, it pretty
my
much pays for your subscription.
yeah, I mean, just to do some math here, I mean, I get paid 180 for a family policy through America's Choice, right?
Yeah,
Which is just one of our carriers.
yeah,
Depending on the product type, obviously, but
yeah.
just one, that's $180. There's my
Just
next level, right?
yeah, just one. I mean, and that's you get paid that every month forever. So
Mhm.
Next Level, like that referral, let's say you get a policy like that because Next Level helped you get that one referral, or maybe you booked an appointment that you wouldn't have booked because you were on a sales call. Someone was ready right now, and your AI chimes in and books the appointment for you. Things like that, which there'll be countless of those throughout the year. One of them pays for your entire system. So it's funny to me. Like, I think the challenge, sometimes people don't want to spend money on technology, but it's like, I don't know, like you're going to make your money back probably in the very first month that will pay for the entire year. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, you can do some math. If I sell five families, right, times that by
hmm
180, I mean,
yeah,
you can really start building up your income. I mean, I'm at 70 and I did that since April, which is
yeah.
crazy.
So
So
that's what I was going to ask you. So you're at 70, or you're at 70 AC, America's Choice policies?
74, 72 on my old book, and three on my new one. No, five on my new one since yesterday. So I'm getting close to 10, or to 100. I mean, that's
Yeah,
every
yeah,
every seventh of the month is going to be to around 10 grand. I mean, that's that without,
yeah,
I mean, I could put off my ads and not keep working and
yeah,
take a month long vacation,
for
if I
sure,
wanted to. So,
for sure. Yeah, and then those renewals are 100%.
yep,
So
100%.
month
And one,
13th, those checks still coming in.
hey, and clients fall off. So we usually say about 10% is what you hold on your book.
Yeah,
I've probably had five fall off total. So the 72 is including
yeah,
not the five that have fall off, but that's my
yeah,
active clients. I mean, it's not very hard to replace. If you're running your ads consistently, one person has to fall off because of financial reasons. That's usually the reasons why people are going off of insurance in the first place. It's not very hard to just get another client on there, you know?
right. Yeah. And that's every business, Sometimes agents act like, "Oh no, I have and there's no chargebacks on that, right? Because you're paid as earned." So that's what's
That's
really nice
a,
about that product
that's
too.
the, yeah, it just goes down. I mean, I'm consistently writing probably, well, I did some math on it. I'm writing on average 2.8 a week. So, and open enrollment's coming up, so that's probably going to be a little bit of a skewed number. It's going to
Yeah.
go up to five. I mean, it was off pretty much all last week and the week prior, because of the
Yeah.
marathon I was running. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm aiming for 120 clients by the end of the year.
Are you writing only America's Choice, or are you sometimes writing other products?
No, I'm doing a ton of Med Mutual as well. I
Yeah.
probably have 12 Med Mutual clients now,
Yeah.
around that. I mean, that's another, with that comp, that's probably another 4 or 5 grand right there.
Yeah.
So,
I was talking to Caleb Pierce yesterday, and he wrote a package that had America's Choice, it had some sort of indemnity or supplemental product on there, and then a life policy. So he gets like the immediate life payout, that indemnity payout probably within 30 days, and then that America's Choice. I'm like, that's so nice. You get a little bit of quick cash coming in, and then you get the reoccurring.
yeah, I mean, just the life insurance policy based off of his comp. I mean, that's
Yeah.
paying, that's your rent. So,
Right. Right. Yeah.
I recently, let's see, when was that? Last week or a couple of weeks ago. I have a lot of life insurance clients just coming. I have literally on Mutual of Omaha, I have over 200 clients, right? Um, One of my clients reached out of the blue, wanted another life insurance policy, ended up selling him a health insurance policy too.
Yeah, that's perfect. See, that's what's nice about taking on other stuff, right? Because, you talk to a life person, a life client, maybe they need health. You talk to a health, maybe they need life. And if you're doing a good job of just thinking of every way that you can help that client, you can really, and like you said, eventually, I mean, who knows? You're probably like me. You'll just like, you have enough passive income coming in. You're like, yeah, I could pay my bills now, but it's like, what am I going to do if I don't get up and get to work every day? Like you have things
Oh,
you want to accomplish, but,
totally.
but,
No.
um, looking pretty good over the next few years, just keeping the path that you're at. And then
Yeah.
then you can just basically be working referrals and just things like that. You don't even have to. Yeah, that's
Yeah. I'm
looking pretty
already
good
like,
for you, man.
I mean, my referral game is huge right now. One of my clients in New Jersey, she put me on a therapist website called Alma.
Hmm.
And she has a business profile because she has a therapist license, but she's also a PA. And so she posted after I was able to get her I think I got her a Blue Cross Blue Shield network plan. So it's through a different carrier, but we'll just say for
Yeah.
purpose of the insurance, it works under Blue Cross Blue Shield. She's loved the plan so far, and she posts me once every couple of weeks on there. And
Wow.
so my booking calendar's on there. So I just will
Wow.
randomly, I probably get, I would say per month, 5 to 7 free leads from her.
Mm,
And every person I'm signing her up, I'm sending her gift cards, $50 per person.
perfect. Perfect.
So
Yeah.
whether that's her favorite store or her favorite
Yeah,
spot to go to
dude.
dinner with her friends. I
She's
mean,
gotta love that. People love free stuff, right? I
yeah,
mean, I would love that, those $50
yeah.
gift cards. And what is
I
I mean,
mean,
that's a cheap lead. I mean, if you look at your cost per acquisition, I don't know what it is, just rough guess. You're probably 80 to $100 to acquire a client, just looking at lead spend, ad spend. What's $50 for like like a warm referral beats anything? So
yeah, it's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, let's
Um,
get into some practical stuff for a second. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to have a book your size now. You're going to be, doubling that book over the next year at least. What is kind of, what does your daily operation look like? Like, how are you writing that kind of business? How do you keep organized? What does your day to day look like?
yeah, so day to day, I'm, I would say kind of a fitness junkie, more of making sure that my health is in order. I mean, I just ran New York City Marathon 2 weeks ago, which I'm
Yeah,
not a
man, that's
marathon
awesome.
runner. So
That's
I was like,
awesome.
hey, I'm gonna go sign up for a marathon, see what
And you're not
happens.
like, you're lean, but like you
I'm
lift weights and stuff, right? Like you're
I'm
kind of
not
heavy.
I'm not a marathoner. Well, I mean, I weigh 195 pounds, so
yeah,
you know, there's injuries that occur when you weigh my weight and you're trying to run a full marathon.
yeah.
But day to days usually wake up. Like this morning, I had an alarm set at 5:30, which you don't have to do what I do. Obviously, people's situations a little bit different. I'm 28 years old, so
Yeah.
um, I wake up at 5:30. I haven't gone to the gym in the last couple weeks. I'm dealing with a fracture in my shin, actually,
Mm,
unfortunately. So, um, wake up, usually go to the gym. If I'm not going to the gym, I'm usually at my computer by about 6:30 and I'm looking at my day. I mean, I just showed you my calendar, Sean. It's every
yeah.
freaking hour enrollment
Yeah.
till either 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. because I have East Coast clients till usually about 5 or 6, right? Which is, you don't have to do that. I mean, I'm doing it a little bit ludicrous, but it's usually
Yeah.
workout. I can't work out in the morning, it's workout in the evening time or block off an hour in my calendar.
Yeah.
Like it's stuff. So, or I live right here, right around the lake. So I can go run around the lake if I need to.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But wake up, check out my calendar, see what I got to do. I usually take my first call and then every morning I make a acai bowl or a smoothie or something just to keep my brain going. Um, and then call after call after call. Usually it's pitch calls. If there's pitch calls, like Mondays are usually discovery calls, Tuesdays are pitch calls, Wednesday are sometimes discovery calls and pitch calls.
Mm.
Wednesdays turn into those discovery calls, Thursdays and Fridays turn into pitch calls again. I don't work on Saturdays. just because at my original IMO I started at, it was a work 6 days a week. You're not gonna make
Yeah.
money.
You don't need friends and family. Yeah.
You gotta have personal life balance, and you have to have self freedom.
Mhm.
You will go bananas if you're just on the phones all day talking to clients. So I just think finding a structure that fits you best. And look, don't get emotionally involved, right? With a lot of these clients. I mean, things are going to happen. So block off some time in your calendar every day. Something goes wrong in your day, go take a walk, right? Go watch TV, go watch Sports Center like I do. Um, I think over the years, you just have to kind of build mental toughness for those things. But
Yeah.
I mean, the day to day is different every day. I mean, I can get a curveball and a client needs help with a claim. So it's
Yeah, I
kind
was
of
gonna say, do you have like times that you block off where you're just doing admin? Because the amount of business you're writing, no doubt you got to be checking on policies, following up, all kinds of stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, big thing is keeping up with clients too. So like every week, I was really good about it. Like in the off seasons, right? I mean, May to I would say about April to August, it's slow. Kids are People's kids are out of school during the summer. People aren't really necessarily looking for health insurance, and their health insurance is just not working for them. So I'm big on making sure that I have every week. Every week, I have at least a day that has 10 clients that are on my Google Calendar, and I go back and I call those clients, and I say, hey, John, I'm just reaching out. We spoke a month ago. You told me you wanted me to call you. Just wanted to see if you have any questions. Yes, I had some questions. Da, 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 da. Sometimes you'll sign them up, or they want to be pushed another month.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's a big follow up game. It's not necessarily. You might get on a call, you might sell someone that same day, or it's going to take 7 calls. I've had
right.
I have a client that's going to be a client for life that I'm working with right now that we're switching out some of his policies that he has. I mean, I have life insurance with him, indemnity, and I also have major medical. So he's got
Hmm.
3 major things. So we're moving stuff around. So, and that's out of the blue. I mean, he
Right.
reached out to me last Friday, and we're working on it this Friday. So it's
Yeah.
week to week. It's not always going to be consistent. When you start getting a higher number of volume of people, like you just mentioned, it can get really hectic.
Hmm.
I will most likely be hiring someone on an hourly wage just to make sure they're doing my claims, answering questions for clients, just so I can focus on obviously
Yeah.
selling. Um,
At your level, man, that'll be a game changer. You know, if you can get the right person to do a little bit of that, that'll really free you up because eventually you're going to get capped out a little bit on your time as you grow your book, and you're going to have like you're going to have diminishing effect. So you can keep working those hours and being scheduled as possible. But once your client count keeps going up, eventually you're going to be kind of capped on how much you can continue to write, which may be still at a good enough level that you're happy with. But getting somebody to help, it's totally worth. You know, any business that looks to scale, you're going to have to hire someone, and it sometimes hurts. You don't like paying for it. You don't trust people. You always want to do everything yourself. But it's a good step, I think, for people in your situation that are having success.
Takes money to make money. I
Yeah.
mean, this is the
Yeah.
reality of this world.
Yeah,
So
you're
you got
likely
to be
gonna get a good multiplier, a good return on somebody that you bring on if you bring on the right person. So,
agreed.
yeah, you'll be able to make more money because they're there helping you. Yeah.
Totally.
So, I wanted to ask you too, like, how are you feeling? I think I know the answer, but like you did show me your calendar. You've got appointment after appointment after appointment, for much of the week. So, how much of your week are you sitting there? I guess a couple of questions. How much are you dialing? Like, are you like constantly dialing throughout the week, or are you focused on just taking appointments? And how are you getting those appointments?
Okay. So I was focusing on dialing until God, it kind of ramped up. Like July, I was really dialing. I mean, compared to life insurance, where sounds ludicrous and you probably shouldn't call someone 9 times in a day. It's also not legal, so I don't do that. But there are agents out there that'll call you 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon, 3 times in the evening until you answer the phone, right? Um, I don't need to do that anymore. Just because of our automations that are in place and the high number of volume of leads I'm running through Facebook through Ad Manager, I don't really need to focus on dialing and I can more focus on figuring out my clients' needs. So this week, I keep saying I'm going to dial people, but I just don't have time.
Yeah.
So, um, s- uh, if I have 30 minutes and I notice I have 6 or 7 leads I haven't been able to call, I'll just bang them out real quick and
Yeah.
dial them. Typically in off season, I'm dialing, I would say 50 dials a day. Try to get 50 dials in.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, there's always, if you just rely on mainly people booking appointments, maybe you call a couple people throughout the day. Yes, you'll make sales, but there's going to be those 10 leads that you left alone that are missed sales.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of stay up with it. It is hard when you're running multiple vendors for leads. And so during open enrollment, I just know what works best for me is the Facebook leads.
Mhm.
And so if I run a higher volume of those leads, I'm not going to have to focus on another lead vendor where they don't have automations or
Right.
those are trickier, you know.
Mhm.
It's a big time management thing. I mean, like I said earlier, every week is not going to be the same.
Mhm.
So I think just staying consistent on appointments, dials. I mean, it really varies on the season, Sean. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
right now it's go time, right? Everybody's, knows it's this time of year to get insurance. Whether they have to get insurance this time, they don't know. They just know it's open enrollment. This is insurance time, so it's definitely, yeah, a good season for that. And then it's
no.
gonna slow down into the, once the new year hits, and it's gonna slow down a little bit throughout the year. Um, so, we have quite a bit of users running ads through us right now. Sometimes, a common complaint, and this is not just running your own Facebook ads, this is anything, is, hey, I get a lot of no shows. People book off my ad on my calendar and then they don't show up. What has been your experience with no shows? And then how do you like mitigate if you're getting a high volume of no shows, like how are you handling that?
I don't have a necessarily huge volume of no shows. I do have clients in the mornings that sometimes no show. So when they book an appointment, the first thing I do is I shoot them a text and I say, "Hey, John, just want to let you know you booked a 8 a.m. time slot, which is actually 6 a.m. my time. Are you 100% committed to making sure you're going to answer the phone?
Yeah.
Because I'm waking up early for you, right?
Right.
So you got to. I'm going to go back to the keeping your emotions out of it. If you are running law of averages, if you're running 10 appointments in a day and you close just one, that's 10%, right?
Mhm.
One sale. You close one a day for 5 days straight. I mean,
You're
you're
looking
on
good.
pace to make a ton of money. Yeah, and not money. I mean, more necessarily, I don't focus on those things. I just focus on what's going to help my client. I got these big headphones
Yeah.
on. I zone out everything. I'm very ADHD,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's there the money part is a super attractive part of insurance. It's really why everyone shows up to work, right? We're not all philanthropists and have um, all this money that we don't really have to work. We're just doing it here to help people. That's really not why we're here. But it is a bonus, and it can help you continue in it. It gives you some longevity because you believe in, the work that you're doing. You're actually helping people and putting them in good spots. So, but yeah, it is. I mean, when you're talking in those kind of numbers, you're going to make multiple six figures, which is phenomenal. There's so many insurance agents out there that I was talking to someone recently. I mean, they were out of work for a long period of time. They probably were making nowhere near six figures. They came in and doing this in first year. Now they're making multiple six figures. So it's crazy, what you can do if you work hard. And I think one of the takeaways with your business is like you get up and get to work. A lot of people they struggle. Everybody wants like a laptop lifestyle. They want to be an entrepreneur, but it's easy to get distracted with just day-to-day stuff, other responsibilities. Like you find yourself half the day constantly getting, not at your desk, not working. And I think a lot of people run into issues that, but I've seen consistently because I talk to agents every day, right? That those that are like getting after it each day, they're going to be successful. Some take longer than others, but if you stick with it and you keep working it, you're going to do well. But you have to be committed to it. You can't want the laptop lifestyle, and not actually be sitting in front of your laptop though and getting to work every day like you would if you were at a job.
Yeah. And I think a big misconception in any industry, people see a lot of advertisements from people that are like, oh, I made this amount in the first year. It's like, hey, this is not a get rich scheme. There's no business out there that's a get rich scheme in the first year business. Some businesses
Mhm.
aren't profitable for 2 to 3 years, and there's a lot of money up front. I mean, you got to
Oh yeah.
think about it. You're spending $3,000 a month on advertisement, subscriptions, whatever you need to keep your business afloat.
Yeah.
You're probably going to break even in your first year if you're an average agent. If you're not an average agent, you might make 50 to $100,000 profit.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you think about your long term, the longevity of you building your book of business with the residuals, I mean, we'll go back to the AC stuff, America's Choice. That's as earned. I have clients that are in their 50s,
Mhm.
right? If I have that client for the rest of my life, okay, and or for till they turn 65, right? Not only am I going to make it if they're 50 years old for the next 15 years, but if they're spending $180 a month, I'll let you do the math.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as earned.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's over 30 grand right there over a 15-year period.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, at your pace, I suspect that, even if you got sick of insurance in a couple years, there's not going to be any job offer out there that you're going to be able to justify because you're going to have so much of that income coming in that even if you're like, I'm sick of this, it's like I'll just hire somebody to kind of manage it and just start building some other stuff. But you're probably going to stay
yeah.
an entrepreneur for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I come from a family. My dad owns a business. So
Yeah.
he's owned his business for, shoot, almost 15 years now.
Mm.
So, I mean, I just know what it takes to, there's a lot of high risk. People get nervous about putting a lot of money up front. I get it. I mean, it can be scary,
Yeah.
but I mean, you rather do that or sit in an office all day? I mean, I just took off 6 days last week. I didn't have to tell anyone.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I
Yep.
know there's a guaranteed check on the 7th and on the 20th of each month.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well, that was one of the things I was gonna kinda talk to you about, and we've kinda just naturally transitioned into it, but, like, what is your advice for, like, people that are thinking about getting into this or, like, for new agents? Like, what are the big things that you see people failing or maybe people that aren't a good fit? So I don't know. Sometimes I ask 2 or 3
yeah,
questions at once, but, like, what's your advice there?
I think biggest advice is staying consistent. Second biggest advice would be go talk to a CPA, go talk to an accountant. This is huge. I mean, I came in as a sole proprietor into the insurance industry and I didn't know the tax implications, loopholes, things that you can write off. I didn't know a lot about opening up an LLC or an S corp. I didn't study those things.
Mhm.
I didn't talk to a CPA, although obviously with the background of my family owning a business, I probably should have, right?
Yeah.
So when I came into the health side at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to go open up an LLC. I'm going to go talk to my parents' accountant. I'm going to get all these things listed out on the table that I have questions about so that I know it's not going to affect my personal net worth or personal credit score and things like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
Yeah.
it's a big thing. I'm not a CPA. Go talk to one. You
Right.
know, open up an LLC or an S corp. Show how you can pay yourself through the business. Right. Open up a business credit card where you're not draining your personal funds because that's the biggest killer in the insurance industry. I mean, people start out as a sole proprietor, they spend their savings account and then they're dead in the water.
Yeah.
You don't have you don't have to do that. If you have a decent credit score, you're going to be able to go open up an account and have a $10,000 limit, which is going to keep your business afloat for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Man, that's so important. I think a lot of people come into this, and this is kind of like beating a dead horse a little bit. People talk about this all the time, but they really just don't treat it like a business. And I think that advice, and I haven't actually heard a lot of people recommend that, but it makes a lot of sense. Go talk to a CPA, but it just kind of gets you in a business mindset. If you're going to go start most businesses, like you were mentioning earlier, you're going to have a whole lot. First of all, unless you have a lot of cash, you're going to borrow money without a doubt or raise money from investors. So you're going to have a lot of debt to start with. So like the concept of maybe putting some money on a credit card is not foreign to starting any kind of business, but you have to
Mhm.
treat it like a business. You have to know like what your cash flow is going to look like. You have to know about a concept called churn, which you already talked about. In every single business, you're going to have customers fall off your book. Don't be shocked when someone cancels your policy and you fall apart. That's part of like your projections of your business. So talking with a CPA, getting an understanding of like financial statements, just even at a basic level, and being able to like predict what kind of business you need to write, what you're actually going to keep after taxes, after turnover, after expenses is so important. And a lot of people get themselves in trouble because they don't think about it. Oh, I'll figure out my taxes next year. Oh, I'm not going to have any. Oh, I'm not going to have any turnover. They spend every dollar of commission, and then someone cancels. They got to pay that back, and they get all sad. But that financial piece and talking to a CPA, I think, is incredibly important. I feel like it should be like one of the first steps of anyone starting to inquire about getting into insurance. It's like, okay, actually sit down with someone who knows what they're talking about and analyze this as a business perspective, not as like something that you just hope will work out, but you really don't know what it is. I mean, you got to go
Yeah,
in like fully aware of what you're doing.
agreed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, while we're sitting here, I have a client that needs to adjust his plan. His wife just got a new job. So we'll just take her off the plan. I'm not losing him as a client, so not
Yeah,
a big deal.
you make it work.
So
Yep.
make it work. Um,
So for CPA, do you just like consult occasionally, or do you have someone that you pay monthly to manage your stuff?
I just consult occasionally. I
Yeah.
mean, first year, I mean, once the book is a little bit more. I mean, by next. I mean, this first year, I'll probably make 40 to 50 grand is what I'm assuming for profit,
Hmm.
which isn't bad. Um, But there's a lot of you got personal expenses, car insurance, things like that. So I
Yep.
mean, using a budgeting sheet to figure out exactly what you know is going to come in. Like my one book, I get 7 grand at the beginning of the month now, right? I know that 7 grand is going to cover all of my expenses, my rent. It's going to cover my car insurance, my own health insurance. It's going to cover my lead cost. Everything that I could think of is it covers, and I still have an extra 2,500 at the end of the month,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean,
So
even if you make 50 grand this year, because you have so many policies with America's Choice with 100% renewals, like like a huge chunk of your business is still going to pay out all next year. Like it's going to grow like a large percentage, right, by next year and the year after.
yeah, I mean it's as earned. I just personal experience from life insurance as earned just makes so much more sense to me long term, especially because your comp is higher. I mean, just think about if you get a 4% residual comparatively to 100% residual.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of a no brainer. Um, but I think just kind of you have to go in with the mindset that your first year, if you're doing as earned, it's going to be really hard. I mean, you're going to have to if you live this lifestyle of buying unnecessary things, you're going to have to cut it out of your life. I mean, I got a Costco membership. I stopped going out. I mean, I'm a young guy. I was going out with friends, going to bars, watching sports. I don't do that 2 times a week anymore. I do that once every couple weeks. Maybe I'll go to a concert here and there. I don't go to concerts that often anymore. So it's kind of cutting out the unnecessary things in your first life. If you want to make sacrifices now, if you can make a sacrifice for the first 2 years of this industry, there's no reason why you can't be making multiple six figures in your
Right.
next 3 or 4 years. So
Yep.
I think that's a big thing too. So
Yeah, absolutely. So are you trying to build a team at all? Like, do you have agents? Are
yeah.
you recruiting?
So I'm not recruiting currently. I do have Matt, who's on my team, who's a good buddy who's used to sell
Yeah.
windows with me. We used
Oh,
to door
okay.
knock. That was 7 years ago. Crazy to think that was 7 years, almost 7 years ago. Um, which he's doing pretty well. So he's running Facebook ads. He's going to switch some stuff around as well, but
Mm-hmm.
it's here's my thing in my first year business. There's a lot of agency owners out there that strictly will write business, but they rely heavily on their personal financials on overrides. I don't want to live that type of lifestyle. I think everything that I want to live my lifestyle through personally and my personal growth needs to be at my own pin before I'm comfortable growing a big enough team.
Yeah.
So once my book does get to that number, I want to be able to look at my agents and say, hey, I'm running $150 a day. I'm generating 60 leads per week from my own profile, my business profile. And every agent I bring on, it's, hey, here's the expectation. It's going to cost you about $3,500, 3,500 to get started, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be here along the way. Here's a bunch of B leads, right? We have B leads that you're going to be running. I'm also going to sprinkle in 5 to 10 A leads a week so that I can get you started to get you to a position that you're in the same position as I am, right?
Yeah.
A year later,
Yeah.
right?
I like the idea
So
of doing a little bit of both because I've been thinking about this a little bit of both lead quality types. It's like because I was thinking about this yesterday, talking to somebody, and it's like
mhm,
a new agent, you don't want them spending all this money while they're still kind of learning. They're learning their sales process, they're scripting a little bit, products, and it's like, do you want to be like, especially if you're buying a $30 or $35 lead, you know, through a vendor, it's like, do you want to be spending that kind of money when you're not quite trained up and fully? But at the same time, if you're only running like really aged leads, which is they're almost like cold calling,
uh-huh.
you could also discourage them because they're just getting beat up on the phones all day and they're like, this sucks. So I think having a
Yeah,
nice mix
you
can
got
be
to have a
good.
mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is sometimes with like the mixing of leads, but like the could like when you have two different vendors that you're running, like throughout the year, I'll go back to running two vendors. Right. During open enrollment, you don't really need to do that because I'm relying heavy on automations. But it's weird that when you're running two different, if one isn't working one week, the other one is. So
Yeah.
you get this like weird sales cycle
Mm-hmm.
of running leads back and forth. So I think it is important to make sure that you also are running throughout the year. That good sweet spot, I would say March to August, you're running two vendors, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of liken it to flipping a coin. Like if you flip a coin a million times, you're probably going to end up with an average of 50% heads and 50% tails. But
Yeah.
if you go through a list, the log of all the coin flips, you might find some weird spot in there where you have 70 tails in a row or
Yep.
70 heads in a row. And that's kind of like leads, you could have 20 leads come in and they all suck, or 20 and they all come, but over time, they're going to average out to where you need them to be. But sometimes you can have a bad go with it with a particular lead type or a particular ad. One of the things I like
Mhm.
about Facebook ads is if your ad's not working well, you can switch it up and try something else, and it's a different lead now. You're maybe asking
Yeah.
different questions. It's a different creative, and so you have some flexibility there. But I agree. I mean, it is nice to have some variety in case one gets you 20 tails in a row. It's just gonna happen. So
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just going to keep going back to consistency. I mean, look, if you have a business credit card, your first year, you're probably going to rack up a pretty big bill on it, right? At least first couple months. So you got to be able to take some risk. It's not going to just go look at some laws on credit cards. It won't affect your credit score if you're with the correct company.
mm,
Okay. And so your first 3 to 6 months are going to be really hard until you build up your book of business.
yeah.
It's just, that's the reality of it. But if you're running multiple lead sources and you consistently keep it on, like this is my first week where I'm back on, right? I have $85 a day on one. I'm running the other lead at $5 a day, and it's rolling. So like
Mm-hmm.
open enrollment's now in full effect for me. So if you just consistently stay to your routine, like I do every morning, or every week, there on out, there's no reason why you can't go week to week at least making, let's say, 3 sales.
Yeah.
Zero reason.
Right. If you're working, you should be able to do that for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you can fix it. You
Yeah.
might need to reach out to someone and get some tips, but you can fix it. Well, man, as we wrap this up, any kind of last thoughts or, anything like big takeaways, any things, other things maybe you've learned over the past year or advice or anything like that?
Yeah. I think a big one's just like, my biggest one is, uh, ooh, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say jealousy, but more comparison of other people. Like, don't compare yourself. If you are struggling in any type of sales role, don't ever compare yourself to someone else. I mean, I have agents that I work with every day that are like, I don't know how you do it. Da, 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 da. I'm not doing anything different.
Hmm.
I, if you watch my pitch call, it's the exact same thing every single freaking time. Um, I'm just consistent with the way that I handle my situation and how I confidently speak to a lot of my clients. I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So don't compare yourself if you're coming in here as a new agent to someone who's been here for a year or even 3 or 4 years. Definitely don't compare yourself to someone who's been here for three or
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
And ask for help. I mean, I came in, I probably reached out to Brian once every, like, not even once every day. I probably reach out to him 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
You know, I, no one's going to hold your hand and no one's here to save you.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
that's the reality of it. You got to, if you are an independent entrepreneur and you are doing this yourself, you are not going to learn if you're too scared to ask questions. There's no
Hmm.
such thing as a dumb question. There is a lot of product knowledge. So, word of advice when you come in, schedule a call with each carrier, individual call, so that you can learn the products. Because you are not going to learn the products over the first week. It's going to take 90 days to, I would say, 120 days. It's going to take that long. So more repetition, falling on your face, right?
Hmm.
More shots that you have, the higher volume of leads, more number of sales.
Yeah.
So
Well, good stuff, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you jumping on here again and kind of sharing about what's going on with you. Yeah. Thank you.